I'm Jaybrook, and I'm a game developer. If you follow me, you know that I released my first commercial project, Skelly Ain't Scary, well over a year ago now. Safe to say, it's been a while since then, and although I've done some projects in between, nothing really scratches the game dev itch like releasing a commercial game. So after my last idea for a commercial project failed, I decided to start over with something more simple. Back during the pandemic, when I had just started getting into game development, I made this little game for a game jam in 2 days. It was a very simple arena twin-stick shooter type game where you bounce a baseball around the map to kill zombies. And in between rounds, you could buy upgrades with the money you collected. It seemed to me like the perfect project for a short-term development cycle at the time. The gameplay was simple but somewhat unique, very easily scalable into a bigger project, and the basic game design was already hashed out, so I didn't have to rack my mind inventing a whole new thing. With that in mind, I decided to get to work. I opened an empty project and started copying over the basic stuff like movement, the bat, and collisions. At this point, I was just doing the basic stuff that had already been done in the original game, so progress was very quick. By the first week, I already had a basic enemy, a bouncing ball, and even some juicy kill effects. But now it was time to get into making the meat of the game, the upgrades. In the original game, you could get 3 upgrades: more health, longer reach, or more strength. But for this new version, I wanted to make a roguelite, where you could combine tons of passive upgrades to build ridiculous synergies, just like one of my favorite games, Risk of Rain 2. So instead of just simple stat upgrades, I opted to make the upgrades passive items that add all types of unique effects to the player and the ball. Here's some of what I have so far. The tennis ball upgrade adds a temporary ball to the field on kill, which makes your game get chaotic super fast. We also have the bowling ball upgrade that decreases your speed in exchange for more size and damage. And just one more before we move on, the shrapnel upgrade lets your ball fire off bullets every time it hits a wall. Now at this point, development was going great, except for one thing. I originally ignored these bugs at first in favor of developing the other features, but I couldn't sweep these under the rug anymore. For some strange reason, the ball collisions with the wall just wasn't working 100% of the time. I tried looking for help from a variety of places, but it just seemed like I was getting nowhere. I obsessed over this issue trying to find out what was going wrong with my very simple collision system, but for the life of me, I just couldn't figure it out. Halfway through trying to tackle this problem, one of my friends who barely does any coding suggested a solution to me that was so simple it seemed stupid. Basically, my collision system at the time worked by just having a single object called O-Wall lined up around the arena. Every frame, the ball would preemptively check if it would be colliding with the O-Wall object by calculating its position in the next frame. And it did this in 2 steps, once horizontally and the second time vertically. If it collided, you would just reverse the speed in the horizontal or vertical direction. The problem was arising in the fact that sometimes, at specific angles, the ball would somehow detect itself colliding both horizontally and vertically, even though it should only be colliding one way. That's why you get a full 180 turn sometimes. The solution my friend suggested was to just replace the O-Wall object with 2 different ones. A wall object for the side collisions, and one for the top and bottom collisions. So only by colliding with the top or bottom walls would you be able to reverse the vertical speed. And same thing with the side walls. It was so simple that I just discarded the idea entirely at first.
But that's simply not possible.
Why isn't it possible?
It's just not.
Why not, you stupid bastard?
But after struggling with this issue for weeks, I decided to just bite the bullet and give it a try. And what do you know? It worked perfectly. After that whole ordeal was over, I was just plain exhausted, which did not help because I was about to start working on the art of the game. If you know me, I am not a great artist, which is why so many of my past projects either are super low resolution or were done in collaboration with other very talented artists. So getting to this part was just kind of nerve-wracking for me. Regardless, I decided to push through and see what I could do with my meager art skills. I started out by searching for a simple color palette I could use and landed on this one called Pear 36. Then using what I learned from my previous project, Triple Towers, I made sure to slather all the art I did in a thick black outline. I started with the player sprite and gave him some simple animations, but it was looking a bit stiff, so with a little bit of code magic, I increased his bounciness and colored him in with colors from the palette. Then I slowly worked my way through everything else, drawing the enemy, sprites for the upgrades, and even different icons. And eventually, most of the game was looking pretty cohesive. When I decided to add the sprite for the arena, it was honestly starting to look half decent. I didn't really expect it to turn out the way it did, considering my art skills, but I was honestly feeling pretty proud of it so far. Riding off this momentum, I worked on adding the UI to the gameplay, so you could see your health, money, how long you have left in the wave, and even what items you bought. At this point, it had been about 1.5 months of development on the game, and it was starting to feel pretty good. So I decided I needed to start putting it out there to get some feedback. After balancing the gameplay and quickly adding some simple sound effects, I added all the necessary features like the menu, loading screen, and commissioned some art and music for the game. After which I released the game onto itch for free. I'm looking for feedback, so if you're interested in trying out the game, the link will be in the description, and join our Discord server to let me know what you think of it so far. As for the future of this game, I've already committed to paying the Steam Direct fee for the store page, so this game is going onto Steam sooner or later. Content-wise, the game is pretty much barren right now with only 10 upgrades, 1 enemy, and not much else. I'm hoping that I'll have a more concrete demo of the full game by the time the Steam Next Fest event starts in October, so expect some news from me by then. That's it for now, thanks for watching, and please subscribe if you want to see more.